Hey, it's Kristi. So glad you're joining me for another episode. Let's talk about a spending planner, also known as a budget. Hey, welcome back to another episode. I'm Kristi. I'm so glad to be here with you. So you know that you need to follow a written budget. We all know that we could probably save more and spend less if we did, but it's so dang hard. I totally get that. But here's where I'm finding a lot of my friends asking, like, how much of my take-home pay should go towards certain things? I don't know how much should go to housing. I don't know how much should go towards my auto payment. So let's dive into that, shall we? A really nice rule of thumb, and if you've rented an apartment from a property manager, you've probably heard they want your take-home pay to be 3 times the amount of your rent. So it's a really nice rule of thumb that your housing payment should be somewhere around 33% of your income. If you're going higher than that, you might be stretched a little bit, and then you're going to have to pull some from some other places, because let's face it, your housing payment is likely your largest single cash outflow every single month. So we need to keep that in check there. So we want to be somewhere around 33 to 36%. And that rule of thumb goes for whether you're renting or you're looking to buy and get a mortgage to purchase that home. That's where you should be kind of swimming around as far as your total rent or mortgage payment is about 1/3 of your income. Next, let's talk about food. This is a really big moving target, and it's a huge variable because family size, diet restrictions, those kinds of things have a lot to play into this number. But a nice rule of thumb is to aim for, on budget purposes, about 15% of your income going towards your food allowance. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be like your treats when you go out for dining out or dates or happy hour or something like that. You'll be able to pull that from another place, but just groceries in the home for you to have dinners, breakfast, pack your lunch to take to work, those kinds of things. Aim for about 15%. Now let's talk about an auto loan payment. If you are in a position where you don't outright own your car and you don't have enough in savings to go pay cash money for that car, you're certainly not alone. So many of us leverage our purchase of a car by getting financing for that automobile. Now, what should be going towards your monthly payment if you are going to take out of your budget towards your auto allowance? Some of you are not going to like this at all because you are driving some flashy, showy, beautiful cars, probably because you think that the world sees you through that window of your automobile. I hate to be the bearer of bad news when nobody cares. We want some solid transportation to get you to all of your important places in your life, running around your kids, going to work, all of those things. But it doesn't have to be some sick car payment. I see so many people forfeit really important things in their life, like savings and travel fund and those kinds of things, because they have a really fancy car. You want your auto payment to be about 10% of your take-home pay. So if you are bringing home $4,500 a month, you really want your auto loan payment to be $450 or under. And make sure that you're putting aside in the next category here for auto insurance, for gasoline, for oil changes. You've got to change those tires. You've got to have brake replacements. So you've got to have some cost of repair built in there too. So I'm allotting about 5% towards your auto insurance and putting aside for those basic repairs and upkeep of your car. Now it's time to pay yourself. You need to have a minimum of 10% going into savings. Here's the best way that I found that works for me. I have my checking account, which I refer to as my operating expenses, right? Like that's where all of my bills are getting paid out of. But I've also set up an online savings account that is separate from my main bank, my checking account. So if you set up an online savings and then go to your payroll company, give them that information, that routing number and that account number for your savings account, you can allot a specific dollar amount or a percentage of your take-home pay to go towards that account. So automatically have 10% set aside in savings for yourself. Now, this is going to first feed your emergency fund. Once you have that built up, I want you to have 6 months of take-home pay in a savings account for any kind of an emergency. You guys, I've seen all sorts of crazy things happen in this life, anywhere from having to quit work because of coronavirus and having to be at home to help with the kiddos in school, all the way up to being forced to quit their job because they're taking care of an ailing family member. Or what if there's layoffs? What if there's business closures? What if there's furloughs, right? Those kinds of things. We want to have that savings in there, 6 months worth of your take-home pay. Then once you have that set aside, start building up that 10% savings where you can get it into your 401k, especially if there's an employer match. Start that right away. Look at me with my finger. Start that right away. But we'll also want you to start putting that money into investments, whether it's an IRA, buying in the stock market. Get some advice from somebody that if you had to switch lives with, you would. Don't take advice from somebody that you're not willing to trade places with. So find a mentor in your life that is doing well financially, okay? Not looks like they're doing well, because a lot of people are living off of borrowed funds. They're borrowing for everything. That is not who I want to be your mentor. So I want your mentor to be somebody who is living well within their means, and they are a big proponent of savings. I want you to learn from them, go get from them. But start with that 10% going force-fed before you even see your rest of your income. Then it hits your checking account, and that's what you're going to use all of the rest of this for as far as your budget to pay your bills. All right, we need to have 5% set aside for emergencies. Sometimes we have an unexpected repair on that car. Sometimes we have something that happens with us health-wise, and we have a larger than expected deductible on that health insurance. All sorts of funny, crazy things happen, and this will keep you from having to go and tap into credit cards where you're paying high finance charges if you have this little emergency fund. So have 5% going over into your emergency fund. I have another 5% allocated for all of these miscellaneous things, right? We have a cell phone bill, we have our snacks and our treats when we're in the car and we just swing into a store to get a beverage, a coffee, some treats, those kinds of things. We should allocate roughly 5% going towards your utilities, so that's going to be like your water bill and your electric bill. And then this leaves 12%. Now, you know your family dynamics and your family structure so much better than I do. So where should this 12% go? I don't have kiddos, and my husband and I love to travel. So we have a part of this 12% left over going towards our travel fund. Some people tithe and give to community services, those nonprofits in the area that really do the best to help serve the underserved in our community. Maybe you're giving part of this 12% to them. Maybe you have uniforms for school and you put your kids into different types of sports and those kinds of things, where all of those things cost money, from the entry fee to the uniforms, right? It all costs money. So that's where that 12% is going to get allocated to. And this is where I'm going to defer to you to know where that best goes, because you have a different family structure than anybody else. But that allows 12% for those other things. Now, if all of a sudden you look at all of these numbers and it just doesn't add up, there's not enough there for, say, groceries. Let's say for your family size, you need 20% and not 15%. You're gonna have to cut from some other place. And this is where I see some people that rent a really expensive apartment, and it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, it's got some really great amenities, but they're paying $2,400 a month for an apartment, for a 2-bedroom apartment. So if you need to live there, maybe consider getting a roommate, where if they were contributing, say, $700 a month, you have some extra money to go towards those other things that cost you a little bit more. Consider when your lease runs up that you go and buy or rent a home that's a little bit more cost effective than where you might be right now. Perhaps you need a side hustle a little bit to get those credit cards paid off or that auto loan paid off, because you might be paying more than 10% towards your auto loan payment right now. But I'm telling you, if you can free up some of those little things, side hustle or other ways of saving, right? I know some people will sell some things. I know some people will take on some odd jobs to get there. Maybe consider the next windfall that you get, whether it's a tax refund, a gift. Maybe for your birthday, you can ask for somebody to help pay something off for you. There's all different kinds of things that you can do to help you get to your goals. But here's just a few ideas on how you can look at your budget. I know that a lot of people are just really seeking some general direction, and I hope that this brought you a lot of value. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to walk through this crazy thing called life and give some direction based on all of this experience that I've gathered in my life and in my work. So until next time, my friends, stay well.